Between the times when the oceans drank Atlantis and the rising of the sons of Arius, there was an age undreamed of. Unto this Conan, destined to be reviewed on this episode of the Retro Rewind podcast.
Reflux capacitor, fluxing, crew to stations. Scanning for Conan the Barbarian, 1982. Prepare to rewind in 3, 2, 1.
Welcome, Rewinders and new listeners, to the Retro Rewind podcast, where we take a fresh look at movies and games from 15 or more years ago. I'm your captain of the pod, Francisco Ruiz, and I'm joined by your XO and mine, Paul, the master cutter-upper interrupter powers.
Don't you know the Dewey Decimal System?
Wrong movie, XO. Also, for this discussion of the film, Conan the Barbarian, not Librarian.
I think I watched the wrong movie. Hold on.
We welcome back aboard creator of the Dapper Man Reviews on YouTube, Kevin Joshua Burnham. Welcome back, Kevin.
Thank you. And by the way, I have Conan the Adventure, so I guess we're doing the wrong thing.
Oh, golly sakes, two of you.
That's 2 for 2.
Along the curse of Livingstone cast upon the family.
Let's see if our other guests actually reviewed this or watched this movie. Along with Kevin, we have back aboard a narrator of High Adventure at the Untold podcast and Ship's Clergy, Nathan James Norman. Hey, Nathan.
Oh, my goodness. What did you guys do to the ship? I'm not used to driving around in this thing anymore.
It's
I'm sick. Oh, did you put like a new hyperdrive in or what's going on?
No. Oh my gosh, not to the ship. No, we're outside. We have a COVID bubble around us.
Ew, I don't want to be in a COVID bubble.
I mean, we
had a bubble away from
had demons attack it in the middle of the night, but we were able to fend them off. So maybe that's what you're experiencing.
Must be feeling something. Motion sickness. I'm getting older too. That could be it.
That could be it. But now that you have a quick flyby of who we are, Paul, can you give us a quick overview of the production specs for Conan the Barbarian?
All right. Conan the Barbarian was released in theaters in the year 2011 and starred the Aquaman. And
Paul, you know what? I honestly thought the other day, Paul hasn't done one of his switcheroos or trying to throw me off in a long time. But here it is.
Yeah, it's Conan the Barbarian.
No, so the Arnold Schwarzenegger, Conan the Barbarian, Paul.
Oh, did I? There's another one I should have watched. Okay. All right. Conan the Barbarian, the Arnold Schwarzenegger version, is released May 14th, 1982 in the US of A. It runs 9 minutes over 2 hours and is rated R for some weird reason. It was directed by John Milius or Milius. As soon as his name came across the screen, I knew I was going to mess up that name. It was written by him and Oliver Stone. Do you think it was the Oliver Stone or is it a different Oliver Stone?
No, it is the Oliver Stone, but it was, he did the first draft that was rough draft that was supposed to be set in like a post-apocalyptic future, but John Milius did rewrites to set back in the ancient past. Anyway, continue.
Oh, interesting.
Oliver Stone never got paid for it.
I've never heard of any swords and sorcery stuff after, like post-apocalypse.
Really? No, there's a Hanna-Barbera cartoon called like Thunder the Barbarian, I believe.
Oh,
that took place post-apocalypse.
Yeah. I didn't really consider that swords and sorcery, but I guess it is. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Anyway, it was based on characters by Robert E. Howard, and then did I say E. Howard?
He-Man? Like sword and sorcery post-apocalyptic?
It's based on sword and sorcery, but there's too much science fiction stuff.
All right. I won't interrupt you anymore. Apparently, we're switching our roles here.
I'm the captain now. Music was composed by Basil.
Basil Polydorus, Paul. Come on. My favorite composer can't get his name wrong.
That's not John Billiams.
Oh, gosh.
All right. You ready for the box office trivia game?
I'm ready. Nathan, Kevin, are you guys ready?
Yes. I'm as ready as I can be.
And everyone watching live, feel free to join in as well. Okay, Paul, go for it.
All right. Conan the Barbarian was made for about $20 million and went on to earn almost $80 million in the box office. Okay. Given this and the fact that it was released theatrically in 1982, how high do you think it ranks in the box office among the other movies of 1982? We'll go for the top 50.
Top 50. Okay. So let's start with Nathan. What's your guess?
I'm going to guess 40.
40. All right. Kevin, how about you?
13.
13. I'm going to guess... I'm going to guess 21. Blackjack. We have here live, we have Ashley guessing 28, Dale guessing 10, and I assume if Bob was here, he'd be guessing 42. And Paul, where did it end up placing in the top 50 movies of 1982?
It just missed the top 10 by going in at number 11.
Oh, really?
Wow.
Okay, so Dale wins this time. Good job,
Good
Dale.
job, Dale.
Well done,
We'll
well
give you
done.
that free 99 gift card shortly to you.
Yeah, that's
We'll
the
send it by
prize.
barbarian mail.
Wow.
Hope you get it.
He just keeps going in a circle, though. It never really gets to you. It's just
Yeah, it keeps going round and round. I keep pushing it.
the wheel of pain. All right. Well, thank you for those factoids, Paul. And let's see if any of them factor into our memory mind melt or subsequent roundtable discussion, which we'll get into once Alice has located our target film.
Alert! Alert! Approaching target. Spoilers incoming. Establishing analysis vector.
Warrior, thief, conqueror, king, Conan.
Let us take the world by the throat and make it give us what we desire.
Conan the Barbarian. Rated R. Starts Friday at a theater near you.
Indeed, it does. Or does
Really?
it? Probably back then it did.
Okay.
But here's our memory mind meld of the things we remember most about Conan the Barbarian, even though that commercial probably triggered enough that you don't need this memory mind meld. But it's tradition. So this was playing on television numerous times next to the sequel or a Ray Harryhausen film as a boy learns steel is all he can trust before a warlord kills Conan's family and is enslaved by Darth Vader. But enslavement has made him into a hulking gladiator. Conan is set free and adventure leads him to take on Snakes of Set. Conan's wife is killed, but he gets his revenge and frees Max von Sydow's daughter. That was... Darth Vader was in this movie. What's that about? So I guess we were... decepted. But the rest of that, I think, was pretty right.
Darth Vader's voice. His voice.
Okay.
Did you? It looked like that was a younger James Earl Jones at the beginning and an older one at the end.
Oh, really?
To me, maybe my mind was doing tricks. He looked a little heavier in the end. He looked a little skinnier in the beginning, but maybe I don't know.
Yeah, I know.
I didn't rewind to find out and do
Okay.
a shot comparison. But I was just wondering if anyone else picked up on that.
It looked the same to me, but
right.
It's possible.
I'm imagining things.
Based on those memories, real or imagined, what rating did they lead you to predict for this film before rewatching it? Classic, nostalgic, or tragic? Let's start with Kevin this time. What was your prediction for Conan the Barbarian?
I predicted nostalgia.
Nostalgic. How about you, Nathan?
I thought it was going to be nostalgic as well.
Nostalgic as well. And Paul?
Nostalgic.
Okay. No, I'm not going to give you my prediction. Well, this was my birthday pick for this year, so
Happy birthday.
classic was my prediction.
Aw.
Oh, yeah, so sweet.
Yeah, happy
You
birthday.
invited everyone else who thought less than.
I know, right? Thanks a lot,
He would-
guys.
He would
Back
have
me
thought
up.
less if he saw it was a Disney production.
Why would I pick a Disney production for my birthday pick? Never going to happen.
You
But I
never
guess-
know.
Yeah, I guess.
Disney's buying everything out. Disney might buy you State out next.
Anyway, it'll be interesting to see if those predictions came true. But first, let's get into our roundtable discussion of the things we liked most about Conan the Barbarian. Let's spin up our...
Best three.
They'll be our best two things this time, since there's four of us. So let's start with Nathan. What's one thing you really liked about Conan the Barbarian?
I liked the world building. And what I mean by that, the way it told the story and built the world around it, it didn't like spoon feed you everything. It just was like, here is the world that we're in.
Yeah.
And this is just how it's happening. It's like, oh, here's a witch. Why is there a witch? I don't know.
Yeah.
There's a cavern with a dead king. Well, what's he a king of? Nope, we're not going to tell you. Thuseldoom can turn into a snake. Wait, he can turn into a snake?
Yeah,
right?
you didn't know
What's
that?
going on with that? Oh, demons will steal Conan's body if we don't tie him down and fight him off. Oh, why? You know? Oh, snakes can be arrows. Don't you know that snakes can be arrows? Don't you use snakes as arrows? Right? I love that.
Yes.
I love that. It's so good and it's refreshing, and so many movies today will just try and spoon feed you the world.
Absolutely,
through
yeah.
clunky dialogue, and this is just a beautiful way to do it.
Yeah, I recently watched another movie, a contemporary movie, that it had a lot of the same world building type things, where it's like it's based on a poem, much like this was based on a book or based on characters from a book.
Destroyer?
No, it wasn't that. But yeah, there wasn't much spoon feeding, and that is a cool thing because it lets you imagine other things, and you can sort of fill in the gaps or go to the source material. That is a really nifty element of this.
Was it a Disney film like Moana?
Paul, we're not to you yet, but obviously you want to talk. So
called it.
Why don't you say what you like about Conan the Barbarian?
One of the things that I was pleasantly surprised is that I've heard criticism about Arnold's acting, especially with his voice and his dialogue, that it was harder to understand in his earlier films. And this was 82, one of his earliest films. And I found his accent easily understood.
Me too.
But I mean, it sounded just like Kindergarten Cop or any of the others. So,
Okay.
I mean, it wasn't that much like I was expecting a lot lot So I was pleasantly surprised by that.
Absolutely.
Same here.
So his voice acting was what he was like. All
Well,
right.
I liked Arnold in this role,
Yes.
and I'm glad I didn't have to strain through it like the people I guess allude to.
Okay, gotcha. That makes sense. Kevin, was Arnold something that you really liked, or was there another character? Or
Oh yeah,
was
I
there
like Arnold Schwarzenegger. I mean, Paul despised. That was the '80s. People were weirder in the '80s than that.
That's a good point. So what was something you liked, though, specifically, Kevin?
I very much enjoy the production value and the cinematography of it.
Oh yeah.
Sorry, I just put that side by side, but I enjoyed it when you see hundreds of those extras that's right there on screen. And
That was amazing.
Yeah.
I thought that
With
was
all them in the
absolutely-
robes, and I was like, how many are on there? Hundreds.
not
yeah.
CGI'd, and you could tell.
Yeah.
Sometimes you can see, if you're really paying attention to it, you can see a misdirection when someone's like throwing something into the water. You're like, okay, some of them look like they don't know what they're doing, but I don't care. I'm loving this. And same,
Chalking up to the world building.
Yeah.
Why did they throw it that way?
Yes, exactly.
I don't know.
Yep.
Yeah. All
No, it
the
works.
costumes, seeing the grand landscape of just seeing the mountains and the lush green mountains and so forth. It was just absolutely wonderful to see.
All these things you guys are talking about, I'm going to save for later. Jeez Louise.
Sorry you hated this movie.
Yeah.
Wow. Something I really liked was, and it's funny, we sort of brought this up pre-show before we were recording, so you won't get it, patrons, but I thought it was such a cool element, and it adds to the world building that you spoke of, Nathan, and it was a totally an element that didn't need to be there, but the discussion of Conan and Subutai gods, I thought was just so cool. Like Subutai talks about his four winds, Conan talks about Crumb, and they're just talking about their faith life, I guess you could say. And it adds such a spiritual dimension to these characters that you don't get in a lot of movies nowadays, or in movies in general. You don't get this spiritual sort of side of people, regardless of what it is. Unless maybe it's a horror movie. I guess that happens more frequently. But I just love that they took time to flesh out these characters in that way. And I thought that was really, really cool.
I prayed to Crom. Crom, I've never prayed to you. I'm a liar.
You don't like when I say screw you?
Wow. All right, guys, fine. Just trash my like. but
No,
whatever.
I do like the spiritual aspect.
No,
the flavor to it.
Even the opening where Conan's dad is talking to him.
Oh,
I mean, that is
yes.
such. I mean, obviously the theology is bad.
Oh,
and awful,
yeah, of
but-
course, yes.
But it was such a tender moment.
Yeah.
It really. I was shocked watching it again.
Mm-hmm.
How
It's
tender
story
it was
time.
for this movie.
It was.
Yeah, it's good. It's
especially,
nice.
especially it's such a interesting juxtaposition or counterpoint to the brutality that's going to follow right after. So it makes it all the more sweet for sure. But let's get into the things that were the sweetest for this movie for us. Sweetest things about this movie for us is what I meant to say. Let's start. Fine, Paul. Let's start with you. What was your classic maker, Paul?
The Dapper Man Kevin was talking about this earlier, but I put down the production designs. That's like the locations, the settings, the costumes, the props. It's all very realistic to me, and I thought that was great to see a movie like that. Why are you shaking your head at me for the people listening, Francisco?
I wasn't going to say anything, but you pretty much stole my classic maker, Paul.
Yeah.
I'll go ahead and just say it. This movie, I was literally shocked with the craftsmanship of this movie.
Yeah.
I've seen this movie several times, but I've never focused on it in the context of a review. And there's just so much craftsmanship from, like you guys were saying, the production design, the costuming, the way the writing. There wasn't a lot of dialogue, but even that I felt was well done. Let's see what else did I put down here. The motivations of all the characters, I thought, even though some of them were like simple, they're all very understandable. There's nothing like, well, why would he be doing that? Everyone seemed like, okay, right. This is very clear why they're doing what they're doing.
Survival. I want the two-headed snake. Give it to me.
Even Arnold Schwarzenegger's muscles had character.
Yes, his muscles were very well defined for sure. But yeah, it's just
over here where no one can see.
Such a beautiful. I'm shy. It's such a beautiful movie. I just adore the craftsmanship of it, which actually made me one of my dislikes very, very nitpicky. But we'll get there later. Kevin, what did you really love about this film?
Score.
Oh, yes!
The music.
Yes, I'm so glad someone said something. It didn't make my list, but
absolutely grand and brilliant. I loved it. I mean,
yes.
I think I've heard of the score in other things too.
Yeah.
Have I?
Yeah, it's used in a lot.
They've used the scores. Yeah, they've used it a lot for like movie trailers, and they'll reuse it. Yeah.
Okay.
Exactly.
This reminded me like when you hear one of those scores, like the one from Dragonheart. You hear it from the movie, but you hear from other things, and this same thing. I thought the same thing with this one. Like,
exactly.
I know I've heard this from somewhere else, but I could just listen to the soundtrack by itself, and I will be just as content because
same
it's
here.
that amazingly well done.
Yeah. I feel that way about almost all of Basil Polidoris' scores, whether it's RoboCop or Starship Troopers or Quickly Down Under. I'm so sad he's passed on because I think he could have done so many more great scores. But
he's done many projects with the director because there were surf buddies, and I looked into that when I was listening to the commentary. They were talking about how they went out surfing out together. And I'm like,
I thought you were talking about a movie called Surfing Buddies. I'm like, they were surfing buddies. Okay.
Yeah, so I was like,
That's cool.
Okay, so these two were really, really good friends together. So they did a lot of things, but listened to the music, and I listened to his other music after I listened to this one because I didn't know too much about this music composer. Man, I feel like I found a new favorite to put on my list.
You guys are still talking about the music? Can you hum a few bars? Because I thought it was a very forgettable.
Dun 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 dun.
Oh, there you go, folks. Copyright John Williams.
Yeah, no, actually, that was my classic maker as well.
Oh, really? Oh, cool.
Okay.
That's awesome.
Sorry
The
to poo-poo
Basil
on your
Polidoris, it was amazing. I was listening to this going, this is just so beautiful. Like, Valeria's theme when she was on the screen. My only quibble with it was the opening raid music was a little too upbeat.
I could see that.
As they're coming like...
Almost should be more dour or something.
It was in a major key. It should have been in a minor key.
Okay.
As they started slaughtering, it went down to a minor key. But I was looking into it. There was a 90-piece orchestra. 90-piece orchestra for this movie. 24-member choir singing fake Latin. Just fantastic. I mean, so much work. You could tell the depth of it. It wasn't synthesized. It wasn't a few people playing multiple instruments. You could tell this thing was a live recording. I mean, they used some technology to change some tempo and pacing, but man, it's beautiful. It was wonderful. I loved it. And unfortunately, I went on to like Apple Music to see if I could listen to it.
Yeah.
And it's not available. It's like, no, you can't listen to this. Very disappointed.
You can listen to it other ways, but yeah, it should be available everywhere. I'm wondering if it's on Spotify.
Stream the movie.
That is also an option.
Let me ask my
or
friends
get
at
a DVD
Skynet.
like me.
There you go.
Or get the DVD, exactly.
Does that have an audio track only?
Unfortunately, it doesn't. All it has is the commentary. It has the the behind the features.
Oh,
yeah, it didn't have
my
just
copy
an audio.
didn't have any of that.
I'm so glad both Nathan, you and Kevin brought up the music, because that was a big love of mine. I'm disappointed that it didn't make it. We didn't have enough likes to share, but so glad.
I'm disappointed too.
Another one, if you want.
You know what? I'm gonna have to, Paul.
Birthday episode.
You know what? You're right. I'm gonna throw in another that I really enjoyed, and that is Geek Devotions. Geek Devotions is a collaboration of devoted geeks that are devoted to letting people know that they are loved. They produce a weekly geek culture-infused devotional, their podcast Com Talk, and written articles, all designed to encourage and challenge the people in the geek community, bridging the gap between their faith and their geekdoms. Find all their content at geekdevotions.com.
I've heard of them.
Whoa, you have? No way.
I think I saw them last week.
Oh, cool. Did they talk about Conan the Barbarian?
Kind of.
Okay, so what's the tie-in here, Francisco?
Well, they talk about lots of geeky things, and this is a very geeky movie with the
Conan
fantastic.
The geek. Okay.
You call Schwarzenegger a geek to his face, even today. Not going to do it.
Whatever. How about some trivia about Conan? Would that be more akin to what you guys want?
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
Did you all realize that real arrows were shot into the giant snake, the one that when they go down the tower and they're getting the eye of the serpent, and there's that big snake there? So real arrows were shot into the giant snake right over Arnold Schwarzenegger's head. John Milius, who's the director, shot them himself after it was determined that he was the best archer in the crew.
Oh my gosh. No way.
Yeah.
But it was the 80s, so their lives weren't as valued as now.
Yeah, exactly. It'll be fun. We'll be all good here. My question to you guys is, what would people in your friends group or workplace say among you all, that you are best at? So John Milius was the best archer. What would your workplace, people in your workplace or your friend group say that you are the best at among those people? Let's start with Paul.
I'm the best interrupter, so much that they labeled me a master.
Not
Drop
quite
the mic.
what I was going for, but okay.
Actually, no, don't drop the mic. You're the master interrupter. You need that. That's your one tool.
I always have the mic. Never dropping it.
How about you, Kevin?
Can you have me go last? I'm trying
Go
to think.
back to him later.
Okay, Nathan.
Well, our office administrator at the church that I work at said that I'm the best at putting up signs.
Wow.
Yep. Yeah, no. So we do a meal distribution on a regular basis. So it goes up and comes down regularly. And I get into the office yesterday and she goes, "Hey, do you want me to go get the sign out of storage?" And I go, "Yeah, no, I'll go get it." "Okay, because you're really good at putting that up. Like, you're so fast and you just know where it goes." And I'm like, "Okay, just say, can you put up the sign?"
I was about to say.
And she's like, but you're so good and everything.
She's buttering you up because she doesn't want to do it. That's what
Right.
it sounds like.
So I'm walking. I'm like, "Please stop buttering me up. I'm doing the sign. Just say, can you put up the sign?" And she's like, "Oh, you're so good at it." Just kept on going.
gosh.
So then I was making fun of her for buttering me up while I was doing the thing to another coworker. And she started in it again. She's like, "Oh, but he's so good and he knows exactly where it goes and it never blows away. He's such a good person blowing up the sign." So yeah, so I'm good at putting up the sign. And that's what my coworkers would say I'm probably best at.
Twice.
Yes.
She wasn't being sarcastic at all the second time?
Actually, no. 3 times, just on my cell phone right now. 2 days later, she texted me and said, "You are so good at putting up a sign."
We're going to call? What is this? Brian Singer?
Hey guys. Yeah, I know it's been a while, but I just wanted to call in and say, just let you know, It's true. Nathan is the best that puts up signs. I gotta tell you.
How
Okay,
would you know
bye-bye.
that?
Bye.
Okay, Brian.
Because he
thanks.
saw the sign and it opened up his eyes. He saw
There
the
you
sign.
go. Sounds like it.
Wow. All right, that was unexpected, delightful, but unexpected.
Was that the
And
only thing that
annoying.
opened up Brian Singer's eyes?
What? Okay. Kevin, how about you? What would your workplace or friend group say you're the best at?
I'm sorry, I'm just trying to think. Because,
How about the best loader?
no, everyone would fight. Everyone would debate about who's best voters. People debate, like, who's the best employee. I really don't look, because I don't look to be the best at anything. Just be a jack of
Who
all
has the
trades.
best accent amongst your workers?
Oh, again, they will not say me. They'll say somebody else.
Oh,
because they can't
well,
understand what I say
you.
most of the time. They say.
How about amongst your friends? You're amongst friends here, so I say.
I don't know. You tell
do.
me what you think you're best at me at, because I don't ask that kind of question towards people. I don't know. I don't know what to think of people. So,
picking obscure movies to review.
okay, I'm best.
We'll go with that.
Okay,
How about
I said one something. My family will say I'm best at memorizing movie lines and things they've said from 20 years ago.
there you go. All right, we got our
Yeah.
best.
A
Fantastic.
thing from 20 years ago. Wow, that is a scary superpower.
Right.
Yeah, I'll remember exactly what they said, and I'll put it down on paper, and then I'll recite it, and it's like, we hate you. But thank you for memorizing. Okay.
Oh my gosh. Awesome,
You're the
guys.
best, but we hate you.
Yeah.
Wow.
What about you, Francisco? What about you? You're asking us.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Saved by it, Paul. It's like a
All right, Francisco, what bear is best?
Yes. What's this best
Battlestar
in life?
Galactica. No, the probably among my friends, they've said that I'm really good at figuring out the things that I like and investing in doing those things. Like, not like, I don't know if I'll try this or try that. Actually, like, okay, I'm going to do this thing. Really like it, whether it's like doing a sourdough starter or doing archery or doing this podcast. They're like, you're good at picking things and knowing what you like. So that's what they've said.
I thought he was going to be best
I'm
at
gonna
hating
add to
Disney
that.
and Monty Python. Okay.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. I'm going to add to that, though. Francisco, you are fantastic at building community.
Oh,
Yes.
You just really, really are. You bring all sorts of people together in all sorts of contexts. And
Is
you
that
are
what the strange
phenomenal
smell
at that.
is?
Yes.
Shut Paul.
All these people around.
Wow. Thanks for that, Paul. Well, thank you so much for that, Nathan. That's very kind of you. I would say I have improved a lot in that area. So thank you. I appreciate that a lot.
And great trivia, Francisco.
And Nathan, you're awesome
All right,
at
fine,
putting
ignore me.
signs up.
Yes.
Oh,
So I've
thank
heard.
you. I'm glad to have confirmation from multiple sources.
I have yet to see
Anyway.
these signs.
Great trivia, Francisco. And I have the answer to our previous audience question, which
Ooh.
again was, what video game would you like to read a graphic novel of? In fact, I don't have the answer because there were no answers sent. So, Nathan or Kevin, how would you answer this question?
Oh, I would answer this question by saying Mega Man. Because I literally just read Mega Man to my son
Oh, really?
an hour ago when I put him to bed.
Nice. Now, which version of Mega Man?
Oh, yeah.
Original,
Now, here's the-
X, EXE?
Here's the hard thing. We went to my comic book store to find Mega Man comics, and they had two because they're out of print from Archie. So we bought those two, and then I contacted Archie. They're like, "Yep, they're out of print. We lost license. We can't give them to you." But I found on my library's website, Hoopla, I can still get them digitally there. So we're reading them on my
Nice.
iPad.
Oh,
So it's the
cool.
Archie 1 through 58 comics that we're working our way through.
Very cool. Awesome. Kevin, do you have a video game that you'd like to see a graphic novel or comic of?
Right now I am playing BioShock, so I wouldn't mind
Ooh,
seeing a graphic novel of BioShock or a novel.
that'd be cool. I've seen people play BioShock. I've never played it myself. It looks like a very
It's
fascinating
loads
game.
of fun.
Yeah.
It's right now I'm on BioShock 2.
Okay, very cool. All right.
All right. So now we have this episode's listener question. The trivia was about the best. Well, the question is, what film do you consider Arnold Schwarzenegger's to be at his best?
If only Arnold Schwarzenegger was an actual person, Paul.
Yeah, I think isn't that what he called himself in or something similar to Last Action Hero?
Oh, maybe. I don't recall. That's been too long ago.
That's what I was going for. But anyway, Arnold Schwarzenegger's. What do you consider his best film?
Okay.
Best role?
Okay. Very cool. Send your answers to trivia at retrorewindpodcast.com. By the time we record our next episode, which usually gives you about a week and a couple days. Of course, people watching here live can answer right now. Just send an email to trivia at retrorewindpodcast.com. But now that we have all had some trivial fun, let's find out what memories you, our awesome rewinders, had about Conan the Barbarian. Christopher Wilson Sullivan said...
Tiny.
So yeah, Tiny from Earth Oddity says, "What is best in life? Crush your enemies, see them driven before you, they hear the lamentation of the women."
Wow, it sounded just like Tiny. James Harleman says, "What is best in life?" I think Tiny just answered that.
Wow, well, yes. Stanley Wright says, "A classic story of good versus evil with magic and swollenness."
Yes. LJ Lowry says, "Heads rolling, Arnold swinging that sword, and the theme song, especially when they used that theme in the Ocarina of Time trailer so many years later." So check out that trailer if you like the music.
In our Facebook, he posted that, yeah. Nate Henderson says, "Isn't this clip from the scene when Conan prays to his father to guide his sword?" No, that's Princess Bride.
Yes.
Also, the clip that Paul used was from Conan the Destroyer, not the Barbarian, but whatever. You got the point.
Anyway... My name is Wardell White. You killed my father. Prepare to die. No, Wardell says, thanks to TBS, I remember more about Conan the Destroyer than the Barbarian. But of Barbarian, I remember James Earl Jones, a long period where no one spoke, and it being bloody. Cool music, though.
Indeed. But what was so bloody about this film in a
I think it was
metaphorical way?
Oh.
So much so that we wouldn't want to see it again. Let's move on to the things we didn't like about Conan the Barbarian. Let's spin a power.
Worst 3.
Or worst 2 things in this case. And I'm going to start with Paul this time.
It's not a tumor. Oh, sorry. Wrong Arnold film.
Wow. What would be a tumor about this film, though, Paul?
I generally like the genre of... what do they call this? What did I say earlier? The swords.
It's like adventure, yes. It's kind
sword
of
and sandal, sword and sorcery.
Yeah. But I have yet to find one that I absolutely love because a lot of it contains. Oh, this one contains a little bit more violence and blood than I care for.
Mm-hmm.
Not at all the parts, but the ones that are like, I know, especially at the end, like that looks more like grape juice spilling or spilling out of people.
But at the Battle of the Mountains you're talking about?
The blood that they used in this, the fake blood, was powdered. So they had to mix it with water, but it was so cold that it was freezing. So they mixed it with vodka. And the actors, they were supposed to spit it out at the end, but they weren't. They were drinking it.
Oh my gosh. Wow. Fun facts. Here we go.
Yeah.
But so it's just too bloody for you, Paul?
That's a little more violent than my usual romp if I want to sit down and have a good time.
Okay, I'm curious, so you said it's hard for you to find a sword and sorcery movie that doesn't have that. So none really come to mind that you would recommend or prefer?
No.
Okay.
I don't know.
All right. Lady Hawk? No, that's not really sword and sandal. Never mind.
Hercules versus the Moon Men, maybe?
Wow.
Oh, I haven't seen that, but...
That's a real movie.
Yeah,
Hercules, The Legendary Journeys? With
I've
Kevin
seen
Sorbo?
Hercules meet Three Stooges.
Oh.
Okay.
Hercules in New York. You've seen that one too, haven't you?
Oh, the Arnold one, where he's even younger. I think they dubbed his voice in that one.
They did dub his voice in that one, yes. Let's go to Nathan. What's something you didn't like that you would have liked to have dubbed out of this movie?
Good choice of words.
Thanks.
I didn't like Schwarzenegger's exclamation sounds at the first half of the film.
Crumb.
You know, like no, like when he's falling or when he's getting
beat up.
and it sounds like, because we have his modern stuff. Yeah, he's going Turbo Man, and it's the same sound he makes in his comedies like Kindergarten Cop or Jingle All the Way. Later, so in retrospect, it's like, no, that doesn't, like, it just really took me out of the movie as I'm chuckling several times at the beginning. He's getting beat up. I'm laughing, which wasn't okay.
All right, that's fair. It didn't really strike me that way. I was in pain for him when in those gladiator scenes when the guy was chewing his ear off. But whatever. Apparently, you like him being in pain.
Come on, kill me now.
Kevin, what's something you didn't like about this film?
I am a huge fan of movies that are much slower, that run slower. I don't really care too particularly on faster paced films. Mm-hmm. But for this film,
we got a list for you. But go ahead, continue.
Yeah, I know we don't share the same feelings on certain films. Anyhow, this film I think was much slower than necessary. It should have sped up some.
Okay.
And for an adventure film, I felt like it was dragging. That should have been better, and the characters were they were quite boring. The characters these characters were like boring me. I'm like, oh my gosh, get on with it, move, do something, give me a reason why. It's like it took them forever to get to a certain point, and it drove me up the wall sometimes.
Okay, interesting.
Are you sure we don't have the similar views? Because that sounds awfully familiar of things I've said.
certain directors and film makers can do it very well. Mm-hmm. This one, I don't think the director did it very well for this film.
I didn't find that at all, but okay.
I can see where he was trying to make it more epic.
And I believe that's what happened. I believe he was trying to make it more of an epic film. It just didn't turn out as epic as he was wanting to be. Even though I love the cinematography and how he just laid on that shot for a while, but it felt like, okay, like me, I wish it would have been more violent. That's just me, though. I think it should have been more violent.
Okay.
Yeah.
Like more action set pieces or something.
More vodka.
Wow.
Yes.
For me, it's funny that you said it was too slow overall. I spoke to how well I thought this film was crafted. So my one dislike before Tragic Makers, for me, was there's this one shot when he left Valeria and Subutai, and he's going to try to find Thulsa Doom at Mount Doom. Thulsa Doom in his Mountain of Power, not Mount Doom. This isn't Lord of the Rings. He's going to search for him, and this is before he gets to Mako, or the wizard. And there's this one shot where it's like, I think it's a night for day. He's riding his horse, and they do like a slow-mo. They actually it's not a good slow-mo. It's just like one of those where they shot the normal frame rate, but they were like, we have to pad this out, so we'll just slow down the frames. I'm like, why this film is done so well? Why would you put that in there? It makes no sense. So that
you have
bothered
to
me.
stretch it past the 2-hour mark in a few places.
I guess that was something very nitpicky that I just caught. I'm like, that didn't need to be there. So that bothered me. But let's get to the things that really bothered us the most. Let's get to our Tragic Makers for Conan the Barbarian. Paul doesn't want to get to Tragic Makers? Oh, okay.
No, I do. Give it to me now.
Oh, okay, Paul, go for it.
Kevin almost took the words right out of my mouth. It's slow and boring.
What the juggin is not so boring?
This film, more than anything.
Wrong,
My goodness,
so wrong.
Let me take a moment and have the boy just stare, and then go back to the guys, and then more staring, and then staring some more, and slow crossing
it's showing
journeys.
Progression of age, Paul.
No, that's him turning the wheel. I got that. I'm talking about in real time.
You do not get that strong pulling the wheel like that without loads of protein doing
That's true. Yeah.
Well, they didn't show him going in different angles either. So to build up all his muscles.
Yeah, you turn around and have his feet on it and push it like handstand.
The crab walk.
Yeah, exactly. That's
it's leg day today.
I mean, they did show his full body how it looked like after the wheel pull.
I don't know.
I disagree. I don't think I didn't feel like it was a movie that dragged on, especially because they just kept throwing this weird stuff in your face, and you're like, "Whoa, wait, what?"
Exactly.
Right. Yeah. But anyways, I understand. I can understand.
Yeah. I will say, were you done, Paul, or no? Not yet.
Oh, I can go on with more stuff, but I think I've said my piece.
Okay. I will say, in tacit, I think I'm using the right word, agreement with Paul and Kevin. My Tragic Maker is actually one part that does always, every time I've seen this film, it always slows down at this one part. I'm like, and here we go. Come on, let's get through this part. And it's the part where he's gotten to the Mountain of Power. He's in he's in the fake priest outfit, and they capture him. And then I don't know why, but it just seems to slow down so much between then and whenever Subutai comes and gets him, and they're trying to figure out how to revive him.
That's because it's slow and boring.
That part is. Not the rest of the movie, but that part is. And I get what I understand. It's cool seeing him have this sort of pseudo face-off with Thulsa Doom, and how Thulsa Doom's changed. He's no longer going for steel. He's going for just people, I guess, and what the role of steel is, and having that sort of almost resolution to what this sort of inner riddle or inner sort of story aspect was. But I feel like that could have gone by a lot faster, or they could have cut some things. I'm not sure what it was, but I felt like it's just for whatever reason, it slows down for me right there. And I can't think of how I would take it any part out, because I feel like it's all mostly necessary. So I don't know how you fix that.
Well, you think like the fact that he's captured and tortured, that should be very high energy. I think my guess what they were going for, and this was one of my likes that I took out, was Thulsa Doom. I like him as an antagonist because he's not just this barbaric, physically powerful person. He's mentally and emotionally powerful. People are willing to daughters are willing to leave their fathers to follow this man. They're willing to murder their own parents to follow this man. I mean, that is like a kind of power that's incredible. And I think that's what they were trying to show there. Is this like psychological power that he has, but it doesn't work. You're right. It's boring.
Yeah, exactly. But let's go with, was there anything that bored you to tears, Nathan, or just was otherwise your tragic maker for Conan the Barbarian?
Okay, my tragic maker was almost James Earl Jones's hair. I'm not sure what was going on with that.
All right, I didn't notice.
I don't know. I don't know if that's his natural hair or if that was a wig, but man, it just didn't fit his face. It was shaped poorly around his head. I don't know. I didn't like it.
It didn't look like a Darth Vader helmet at all.
Right. Well, oh my gosh. I think that's what it was. No, but my tragic maker was the overall narrative framework. I mean, I liked the voice.
Oh, you mean it was slow and boring?
Oh my God.
No. So it starts off with a Kelly Clarkson song. What doesn't kill you makes you stronger.
Oh my gosh.
You know how many people sang that song?
I'm just kidding. It starts off with the narration, and the voice sounds good, and the depth of it sounds good. But the narration, like, it already takes away some of the drama of the story, because he says, I'm going to tell you about my master and how he became king. And you're like, oh, okay, so he lives.
Oh,
right?
yeah, that's a good point. I never thought about that.
I'm no longer concerned with his physical safety, and that's okay. So then you have to think as a viewer, like, okay, he's going to... So we're going to see all the things that he gave up, or the struggle and the strife to become king. That's great. And then at the end, literally he says he eventually... Well, okay, so at the end you see the tower and you see all of the followers of Thulsa Doom are there. And I'm like, oh, this is how he becomes king, right?
Oh.
They all turn to him and say, oh, you're our leader now. And so now he's their king, right? Is that what happens? No. They throw their fire away. They walk away. And the narrator comes in and he goes... He eventually became king, trust me. But that's a story for another time.
Except it won't.
Here, enjoy this. Enjoy this still shot of Schwarzenegger, right?
Suckered into the prequel.
So it started off, like the whole story started off, this is how he became king. And then it's like, that's a story for another time. Wait, but that's the story I was watching.
Right.
Fool you.
That is an excellent...
Yes, I think that falls on its face.
Yeah, for sure. Well, I think that leaves Kevin. What ultimately falls on the face for you regarding Conan the Barbarian?
Well, I'll just say for Nathan that this was supposed to be a 4-movie part, but
yeah, it was
happened.
Supposed to be 4 movies. Yeah,
I understand that, but they started with a promise that they did not fulfill.
That is very, very true. So for me, my tragic maker is the miscast by James Earl Jones.
Really? I
he
thought
was
he was perfectly
strongly-
cast.
He was the most boring villain I've seen in the movie.
What? Really?
Wait, you already said boring, so
I know,
it's extra
boring
boring on
character,
top of boring.
It's-
Okay,
it's
I
just-
like it.
I mean,
wow. Okay.
the levels of the character, the story was slower than necessary.
How'd they get his eyes blue? Like,
Contacts.
Well,
man.
context.
realistically.
Again, 80s context. Come on.
yeah.
Probably cut his eye up. But, yeah, his wig. I mean, there was so much of him staring.
Yeah.
scenes And not enough.
That's
of
where
him
his
actually-
power is. He hypnotizes you like snakes do. That's the whole point.
I didn't feel like he was actually hypnotizing anything.
Well, not
It was just
you,
sick.
but the people on screen.
It looked like he was just staring. I wish that he had more talking roles or something that actually showed he had true anger, because every time he did something, he was a wuss. He took off at every time something happened. Every time, whenever
I'd rather him have speeches.
Well, I
like
think-
I'd rather have
Simba.
speeches or actually
Everything
fight someone
you
as
see.
being a warrior that he's supposed to be, like everyone feared.
Well, he didn't need to. He had that gaze, that look
Yeah,
that
I-
people would just were mesmerized
Exactly.
by.
I think
It
that's
was a
his
very
ultimate
mesmer-
power, is that he doesn't have a lot of physical strength necessarily. Like, obviously, he couldn't overpower Conan. He just lopped his
Yeah,
head
he
off.
didn't
at
even
the
get
end.
He just-
anything.
turn into a snake and strangle him.
But
I
that
don't
just-
know.
Which
I think
he turned to a
that's-
snake one time, and that was it. It's like, okay, well, what happened? Well, you can't turn into a snake again. Come on, mate.
For me, it shows
Grow
how
another
Conan was able to not give in, because at the end it looks like he might be like, oh, maybe I do believe you. But then I think there's a surge of him, his loss of Valeria, his loss of his parents and people that snapped him into it. It's like, no, you're going down. And so I appreciate that Thulsa Doom's villainy was more based on his control of other people, which is, I mean, a lot of like cults in normal, like nowadays, that's how the
like
people get.
Biden.
Well,
Sorry.
he
So
should have
that's
used
how.
more Kool-Aid, because whatever that green stuff that he fed them, that was it. And I was like, come on. He just looked
With the hands in it? Ah, no.
And the head.
Yeah, the hand, the head, and so forth.
Was there a head in it?
That's literally Soylent
That was supposed to
Green.
be-
Yeah.
Made of people.
I never thought about that. That is green as made of people.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Good one.
But I'll
Paul.
tell you what, this movie's really good at bad animated special effects.
What?
They should have had that an animation effect like a warping around the edges when he was gazing, so it seemed like something supernatural.
See, I
to
don't think they
overtake
could have
people.
done that well back then, though.
That's
that
what I
would've been
mean.
Cool. Well,
It's
okay.
bad, so might as well
to
throw
go
in
to-
another bad.
To go to Francisco's point, though, I agree with you on that closing end.
Mm-hmm.
It seemed a little antithetical because it wasn't this big match,
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
I think this is some of Arnold Schwarzenegger's best acting, because there is that moment where I'm watching this and in his eyes, it's like, oh my gosh. And when he says, "You are my son,"
Mm-hmm.
and it's like that father wound he has. Oh my goodness, what I've missed out on my entire
Yeah.
life, and now you're going to fulfill it. And and you could see it in his eyes, and he's going there. And then, like you said, Francisco, he snaps and he goes,
Yeah.
"No."
Exactly.
Stronger.
I think that was some of the best acting I've ever seen from Arnold Schwarzenegger.
Yeah. I
Well,
can see that.
not from
My
James
mother.
Earl Jones, because it looked like somebody was probably behind the camera holding the cue cards like, say this, and he's right there just reading the lines.
All right, it's fine. Okay, we can agree to disagree, Kevin. That's totally fine. That's your trash.
Well, I don't
James
agree
Earl
to
Jones.
disagree. I don't fall for that.
Okay,
Go
you're
ahead.
wrong.
Let's talk
I'm
about
right.
what we
That's
do
fine.
agree with.
Let's talk about what we do agree.
Kevin and I agree that the wig was awful.
Oh, God,
don't-
yes.
I thought it was fine, but whatever. Let's move on, guys. We've entered all our trajectories into the firing computer. Alice, do you have a firing solution for us?
No. Okay, fine.
Firing solution complete. Rating salvo at the ready. On your mark.
Conan needed some salvo authority to be king, but there wasn't.
Do we rate Conan the Barbarian a classic? We'd recommend anyone go see this movie, whether or not they've seen it before. A nostalgic, it's worth your time to revisit if you remember liking it as a kid or young adult, or whenever you saw this in the past. It'd be worth rewatching it now, but maybe not for the first time. It wouldn't be worth your time. Or a tragic. It's not worth anyone's time today. If you've never seen it, keep it that way. And if you have fond memories of it, don't sully those memories with a rewatch. Let's start with Kevin. What is your final rating for Conan the Barbarian? You predicted a nostalgic. Let's see where if it changed or stayed the same.
I thought you were going to say something else. A nostalgic. I thought it was one word.
I thought he was going to say that too. It's still nostalgic for me.
Okay,
it still
nostalgic.
is, yeah. Even though I didn't care for James Earl Jones and it could have been it's slower than I was hoping, but it still has a nostalgic value, and it's still. I mean, it's not something I want to just go and throw on my Blu-ray DVD player. It's like, oh man, I can't wait to watch this again. But if someone asked me, it's like, yeah, sure, let's watch it. And
okay,
watch it.
Very fair. How about you, Nathan? You also predicted nostalgic. Where did it end up landing for you?
I'm gonna have to stick with nostalgic.
Nostalgic as well. Okay.
Yeah, if you watched it and you enjoyed it, you go back and watch it, and you'll still feel all of those things. But I don't think a modern audience is going to react to this as well. For some of the pacing issues, which I didn't find as a problem, and I do appreciate that in storytelling, but also for just the weirdness of the narration, which I liked. You know, hey, we're going to use this snake as an arrow. Wait, how do you use snakes as an arrow? We're not going to tell you, and we don't have to.
Yeah,
I love
part
that.
of the fantasy.
I love it, but I don't think modern audiences would go for it.
That's totally fair. Paul, did you go for this film or not?
I've only seen this one time before, and that was
really?
with you about 20 years ago.
Okay. Come on, Paul, you gotta watch this with me.
And I remember kind of liking it, but it had been a while, and I was looking forward to watching it again. Unfortunately, did not hold up as well as I was even hoping to remember.
Okay.
So, according to the definitions, I'm going to have to rate this a tragic. Because I don't want to.
Wow.
Don't sully them with I'm sorry, people are distracting me. I have ADD sometimes, but what was I saying? I wouldn't want to be like Mike Wazowski and sully my memories by rewatching these.
All right, so
tragic
from Paul, down from his nostalgic. Well, for me,
Birthday Boy.
Yeah, you know what? Things didn't change for me. I still enjoyed this so much. Unlike Kevin, I would love to pop this in and watch it again. I attempted to just watch this again a second time.
I've never seen Conan the Destroyer or Red Sonja, so I'm actually interested in seeing
I think you might like the Destroyer a bit more. It's less bloody.
I'm guessing Paul would like that better.
And Red Sonja is even less bloodier than that. And it has Ernie Reyes Jr. in it, which is kind of cool too. But that's neither here nor there. Conan the Barbarian, for me, is a classic. So, tallying all the votes together, according to the Retro Rewind podcast, we rate Conan the Barbarian a highly disputed nostalgic film. If you did see it as a kid or young adult or whenever, and think about picking it up again, go for it. But if you've never seen it before,
you didn't call it a draw.
Go see. Paul, you said you didn't find. Couldn't think of another sword and sorcery movie that you like. Still none that comes to you that you would recommend above this.
I think I might got one that Paul may like, but I'll talk to you later about that.
Okay. Conan the Destroyer. Just the Destroyer is more fun.
Dragon Slayer.
I don't think Paul would like. I think Paul.
I haven't seen it.
If Paul thinks this is slow and boring, he's gonna think that's slow and boring for sure. Though I seem to remember liking Dragon Slayer. Anyway, that's neither here nor there.
How could you like that?
Time to get back to your own time. Good old 20XX.
20XX.
Contact online. Receiving incoming transmission.
Feels good to be back, but we wouldn't have been able to travel back to 1982 to begin with if it weren't for our amazing reflex capacitors, namely Jared Holzhauer, Deborah Powers, Brian Keating, Patrick Hicks, LJ Lowry, Chris Cowan, Chris Owens, Geek Devotions, The Untold Podcast. Oh, he's right here. James Kennison, Drew of the Cellcast, Ashley Cronenberg, Pastor Dewson, Kenneth In, Redeemed Otaku, Ryan Lingle, That's Our Bobo, Josh Adams, D. Tungsten, Andy Lewis, Jeff, The Dapper Man Reviews. Oh, he's right here too. The Tony from the Retro Days, and Mr. Lost, in addition to 9 other awesome patrons as well. Thank you all so much for keeping the gigawatts coming. And if you want to help us keep flying for as little as $1 a month and get bonus content for your generosity, head over to retrorewindpodcast.com/support to help us grow via Patreon, Subscribestar, or PayPal.
This stream is sponsored by PaulJPowers.com.
And while we're thanking our supporters, we also want to give a big barbarian hug to our guests for coming and supporting us with their thoughts about Conan the Barbarian. We'll go in alphabetical order, starting with K, because Dapper Man begins with a K, as in Conan. Where can people find you online? Is there anything cool you got going on that people should know about?
If you wish to follow me online, you can go to youtube.com/dapperman. You can also follow me on Facebook, where I have a Facebook page. I have Meme Mondays, so everyone seems to be excited about Meme Mondays and asking people their favorite quotes on Thursdays.
Nice.
Very cool.
On Instagram, I'm on there, and I've just started Twitch, so I'm still learning about the whole social media online. But YouTube and Facebook is where you find me most at.
Awesome.
Not Twitch, Twitter. Something with the
Twitter.
T. I don't know.
All right.
Twitter, yes, that's it. Thank you. I was trying to remember.
Something that begins with a TW.
Yes,
All right.
TWI.
And Nathan, how can people find you online, and what do you got going on?
You know, I appreciate the barbarian hug you just gave me, but I am now covered in your sweat. It is disgusting.
Well,
it smells so sweet.
Yeah, you can find me at Untold Podcast at untoldpodcast.com. Also on social media at Untold Podcast. On Twitter at Untold Podcast. On Instagram at Untold Podcast, where we capture the culture's imagination through speculative fiction. We are the award-winning Untold Podcast because we just won the 2021 Realm Award for Best Audio Drama. So go up and there's...
Nice.
Thank you.
Was that for special guesting on the episode of the Retro Rewind podcast?
It was not.
Oh, missed it by that much.
That's right.
And we live about 3,000 miles away from each other. So yep, just about that much.
Yeah.
No, but yeah, if you like audio fiction, we've got over 50 hours of audio fiction you can go and listen to. Untoldpodcast.com.
Yeah, and I just started sharing some of those stories with my kids. They both really liked it, so definitely recommend Untold Podcast as well.
Oh, it's good.
You started off at episode 14, right? If it causes you to sin.
Yeah, that's the one. No,
I'm going to say
that's our
I
only R-rated episode.
I know.
Oh, really?
Don't show it to him.
I started at episode 5, and you've been keeping me entertained when I'm flying across, so I just download the episodes.
Awesome.
So I very much enjoy it. But whenever I go on my travels, I'm like, I know what to listen to, so I download and I very much enjoy it. So just like you.
Right.
Oh, thank you. I appreciate the encouragement.
Oh, no problem.
Absolutely.
There's your 5-star review right there.
Yes.
Uh-huh.
Yes. 5-star all the way.
It only counts if it's on Apple Podcasts.
I don't have Apple. I have Spotify, mate.
Thank you
Does Spotify
again.
let you review shows?
I think so. I want to say so. Regardless,
I've never
thank you
seen 'em.
again, Nathan.
Okay.
And Kevin.
Okay, you're welcome. You're welcome. Calm down, mate. Calm down.
Stop beating me up.
Crumb. Thank you again so much, Kevin and Nathan. And a hearty thanks to those of you listening for the first time. And of course, all of you who are part of our Rad Rewinder community. You all who watch us live every week, whether we're recording the podcast like you awesome people here, or I am playing retro games, or you're all an amazing group of people helping sustain the pod. But if you are looking for ways to get involved in growing this Retro Rewind endeavor, reach out to us on social media. We are at Retro Rewind Pod pretty much everywhere. Buy some of our merch, leave us a review on Apple Podcasts or Podchaser, become a monthly patron, or simply just share your favorite episode of the podcast with your friends so that more people can enjoy the content of the Retro Rewind Pod.
Wrong! Conan, what is best in life? Crush your enemies, see them driven before you, and to hear the lamentation of your women.
You've been listening to the lamentation of the to retrorewindpodcast.com/233, our review of Conan and the lamentation of the women, with me as your XO, PaulJPowers.com, not Crom, but .com, where you can find all my social media links. Again, that's PaulJPowers.com.
Thank you for being an amazing barbarian friend, Paul. And for another fun voyage. I have been and continue to be the captain of the pod, Francisco Ruiz. Find me on Twitter at FXRetro_, especially if you need pixel artwork commissioned.
Captain, we are on final approach to base. Barbarianism has been granted for landing.
Do we need barbarianism for landing?
I don't know.
Okay.
You're the captain.
I don't think so. Let me enter the code. All right, now we can land. Thank you, EXO, and thank you all for listening. We pray you are more joyful now than when you first hit play. But like a Pokemon, we gotta catch you all for the official kickoff of our annual Sci-Fright season with Star Wars Episode 2, Attack of the Clones, our next episode of the Retro Rewind podcast.
Retro Rewind mission complete. Proceed to nav point Omega and return to base.
Come, let's leave this place.